There's a question that keeps the ambitious awake at night. What's the fastest way to get rich? Not the safest, not the kindest, the fastest. Most chase shadows, trading decades for paychecks, mistaking motion for momentum. They grind, they save, they wait. But the truth? The truth has never waited for anyone. The rich do not stumble into wealth. They engineer it. They play a game that the obedient never even see. Because this game was never about fairness. It was about power. And power, when focused, bends reality. If effort was the secret, construction workers would own skyscrapers. If intelligence was the key, professors would top Forbes. But they don't. Because this world doesn't reward virtue. It rewards control. Centuries ago, Machiavelli wrote not for dreamers, but for rulers. He whispered a truth too sharp for ordinary ears. Do not chase wealth. Control what wealth obeys. Money flows fastest to those who shape perception, not those who serve it. To those who set the tone, not those who follow it. That's why the rise of a powerful man always looks sudden. He wasn't discovered. He was designed. He studied leverage. He mastered influence. He didn't wait to be chosen. He crowned himself. And the world adapted. The truth is simple but brutal. You are either building your throne or building someone else's. There is no middle ground. Most people never get rich because they worship effort. They believe the harder they grind, the higher they'll rise. But the world doesn't pay for effort. It pays for effect. The janitor works harder than the CEO. The miner sweats more than the investor. Yet one trades hours and the other trades influence. The difference? Leverage. You can swing a hammer all day, but you'll never move the walls of power. Because real wealth isn't built with muscle. It's built with motion, strategic motion. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He warned rulers, those who toil without leverage remain servants to those who command it. The poor man sells his time. The rich man sells a vision and hires time to serve it. You can't sprint to freedom while shackled to hourly pay. You can't build an empire while thinking like an employee. Effort is noble, but nobility doesn't buy freedom. Control does. Look closer and you'll see it everywhere. The worker begs for permission to rise. The leader creates permission. The world bows to whoever dares to define it. So stop trading sweat for scraps. Stop worshiping the grind like a false god. Work is not your weapon. Positioning is. You don't climb the ladder by climbing. You climb by owning the ladder. The janitor mops a floor once. The CEO builds a system that mops 10,000 floors while he sleeps. That's not luck. That's design. Power belongs to the one who builds the system. Wealth follows the one who directs it. And if you're still chasing races while others are building ownership, you are not in the race. You're part of the track. The system doesn't break you by force. It breaks you by comfort. They hand you a salary and call it security. They give you weekends and call it freedom. They design cages so elegant that you thank them for the bars. That's the trick. Obedience disguised as stability. You trade your youth, your fire, your imagination for predictable pay and polite applause. And somewhere between promotions and promises, you forget what risk even feels like. The rich don't live inside that illusion. They understand what Machiavelli whispered to princes. He who depends on another's favor is never truly safe. A job rewards you for being careful. Wealth rewards you for being decisive. While the obedient wait for permission, the bold move before the applause. They make decisions others are too scared to even imagine. And that's why they move faster than logic, faster than doubt. Every empire is built on this divide. Followers build systems they don't own. Leaders build systems that others depend on. The obedient say, I'll try next year. The wealthy say, why not now? One fears risk. The other fears regret. You cannot serve safety and speed at the same time. The safe path gives you predictability, but the dangerous one gives you leverage. And leverage multiplies everything. Obedience steals more dreams than failure ever could. Because failure ends a chapter. Obedience erases the whole book. So ask yourself, who benefits from your caution? Whose empire are you building while you wait for a sign? The truth is cruel but clear. You don't get rich by playing the role they gave you. You get rich by writing your own script and forcing the world to learn its lines. Wealth is not earned, it's constructed, brick by invisible brick, through perception, control, and leverage. The poor work within reality. The powerful shape it. Look closer and you'll notice a pattern. Every rich man you admire didn't just make money, he built a system that makes money for him. Power is not about dominance, it's about direction. It's the quiet force that makes others move according to your design. And once you control the direction of people, resources, or belief, you no longer chase wealth, it chases you. Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. He didn't write for peasants, he wrote for princes. He taught them that the key to lasting power wasn't kindness, it was control of perception. Because perception creates loyalty. Loyalty creates influence. And influence, properly leveraged, prints money. Most never rise because they think wealth begins with money. But money is just the shadow of control. You can lose it, spend it, waste it, but if you control systems, you'll rebuild it overnight. That's why the rich don't panic when markets crash. They don't lose their minds when trends fade. They built the infrastructure, the flow of attention, the flow of capital, and those rivers always return to their source. To become powerful, you must think like an architect, not a laborer. Stop asking, how can I earn more? Start asking, what can I control that multiplies without me? Because true wealth doesn't come from what you do. It comes from what you command. The poor chase paychecks, the rich design pipelines. And those pipelines don't just carry money, they carry obedience, opportunity, and influence straight to the throne. So stop working inside the system. Start building the one others can't live without. That's how power turns into permanence. If you want to rise faster than the crowd, you must stop relying on effort and start pulling levers. Because in the game of power, hard work is a tool for survival, not domination. Leverage is what separates the rulers from the ruled. There are 4 levers that accelerate wealth beyond imagination: money, people, knowledge, and attention. Let's start with money. The poor fear debt. The rich weaponize it. They don't ask, can I afford this? They ask, whose capital can I multiply? Loans, investors, partnerships. These aren't burdens. They're launch pads. While others save pennies for decades, the bold build empires with borrowed bricks. Then comes people. Machiavelli warned that power multiplies through delegation. A true ruler doesn't pull every lever himself. He builds hands that move at his command. Influence others to believe in your vision, and they'll work harder for it than they ever would for a paycheck. That's not management. That's alchemy. Next, knowledge. Not the kind they teach in schools. That's obedience training. Real power comes from asymmetrical knowledge, knowing something before the world realizes its value. Spot a shift, act fast, and you'll own the future while everyone else is still debating it. And finally, attention, the most underestimated currency in the modern world. Because when people know your name, they lend you their trust. And trust is credit without collateral. One video, one idea, one message can bend markets. That's why kings of attention rise faster than kings of capital. Because in the digital age, visibility is velocity. Pull these 4 levers with precision, and you'll move years ahead in months. While the cautious are still waiting for certainty, you'll already be rewriting the rules. Wealth doesn't reward the patient, it rewards the perceptive. The world doesn't follow perfection, it follows motion. People are drawn to momentum like moths to a flame. When they see someone moving, with conviction, with certainty, they mistake it for destiny. And in a way it is, because motion creates gravity, and gravity pulls everything, money, allies, opportunities, into its orbit. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. He wrote that a prince should act decisively, even when the outcome is uncertain, because hesitation kills power faster than failure. The rich aren't fearless. They just move first. They act while others are still gathering opinions. They leap before the applause, knowing that fortune doesn't reward the careful, it rewards the bold. That's why the world calls them lucky. Luck is simply speed disguised as fate. When you move, you create waves. And those waves carry your name into rooms you've never entered. They make people talk, speculate, and align. That's influence in its rawest form. Not persuasion, but magnetism. Meanwhile, the cautious wait for clarity. They polish their plans until the moment has passed. They overthink the opportunity right into extinction. But boldness? Boldness bends reality. It transforms risk into reward and hesitation into history. So move, even when it's messy. Act, even when you're unsure. Because momentum builds faster than mastery. And once the world sees you in motion, they'll assume you know where you're going. And that illusion alone creates allies. Every bold act you take adds to your mass. Every decisive move expands your orbit, until one day you stop chasing and everything starts chasing you. That's the magnetism of motion, to be so consumed by your own velocity that the universe has no choice but to accelerate with you. When you start rising fast, don't expect applause. Expect resistance. The world doesn't cheer for those who move ahead. It punishes them. Because your speed exposes their stillness, your courage reminds them of their fear, and nothing enrages the stagnant more than the sight of motion. Machiavelli warned rulers of this truth. Power breeds enemies as surely as fire breeds smoke. Jealousy is the tax you pay for acceleration. They will whisper. They will doubt. They will call you reckless, arrogant, lucky. But every insult is just a confession, a declaration that you're moving faster than they can process. You'll face sabotage. You'll face betrayal. You'll face the quiet resentment of those too timid to take the same risk. Good. That's the proof you're on the right path. If no one's trying to pull you down, it means you haven't climbed high enough. Every great ascent creates turbulence. The air gets thinner, the noise gets louder, but that's where the view begins. The weak survive by conformity. The strong ascend by conflict. And if you want to rule, you must grow comfortable being misunderstood. Stop explaining your ambition to those still negotiating with fear. They can't see your vision. They were never meant to. A lion doesn't apologize for hunting. He hunts because he must. He moves because the savannah bends to the one who refuses to stop. So let them gossip. Let them guess. Let them try to slow you down. While they argue about the rules, you'll be too busy rewriting them. Because in the game of power, resistance isn't a threat. It's confirmation. If they're fighting you, you've already won their attention. And where attention goes, power follows. The endgame was never money, it was power. Money is a shadow, flickering, fleeting, obedient to whoever stands nearest the light. But power? Power casts the light itself. When you reach this stage, you don't chase wealth anymore. You command it. You've built systems that breathe without you, brands that sell while you sleep, networks that whisper your name in rooms you've never entered. That's when you stop being a participant and become the architect. Machiavelli called it the art of rule, the mastery of men, of moments, of minds. To command not through noise, but through gravity, to shape belief itself, and watch the world rearrange around it. Because the true rich don't rely on luck or labor. They rely on leverage amplified by perception. When you control attention, you influence behavior. When you control behavior, you control results. And when you control results, the world calls it success. The bold understand this. They don't compete for approval. They create reality. They don't fit in systems. They own the gates. They don't chase opportunity. They become the opportunity. That's the moment you stop asking, how do I win? And start asking, what do I want to shape? Because wealth is no longer the goal. It's the language of your influence. And influence, once multiplied, becomes legacy. The world belongs to those who move first, who think faster, and who act before permission arrives. So burn this truth into your mind. Fortune doesn't belong to the cautious. It belongs to the cunning. It bows to speed, to strategy, to the one bold enough to seize the moment before the rest of the world even wakes up. You were never meant to play their game. You were meant to design it. And once you realize that, you'll stop chasing the crown and start wearing it. Thanks for looking.